Everybody thinks this is the real old style paint for. I don't know. They've gone to the other type of spray gun, which I have one for doing the body, but you really need this this type of canister for going under wheel wells and whatnot. I hate it when I have to waste a little bit of clear that's in the bottom, but it's just going to harden up and go bad. So, I like to utilize it, kind of put it on my wood pile. Yeah, help my wood burn a little bit for getting it started. $1,000 worth of paint supplies. I have to dump some of the clear and hardener on my wood pile. Okay, that's it for now. Our next phase, I'm going to try to get the body sanded on it. My old caddy limo here. I'll give you a quick scan of my shop. Some of my menagerie. Items on the ceiling. Little buddy of mine back in the corner here. I can see any of this stuff or not. Nice headlight collection. Look on the back wall here. Sheriff! We do back to blue here. Do I like getting stopped for a ticket? Oh, I got some horns. Don't think it didn't take me a while to get all these wrenches organized and hung up. It's amazing the different types of wrenches that we use and developed through the years. I usually use newspaper instead of buying the conventional rolls of automotive paper to tape off. But at the hospital in the OR, they discard these surgical tarps, not sterile. They're kind of a waxy finish, but they're okay. And on the ceiling of my shop, these are discarded body bags, again, or rolls of them. They work nice over the insulation. In time, I wanted to get the ceiling finished off with some tongue and grooved wood, and I'll probably use some of those for taping the car off at a later date. Just like Columbo, one more thing. I often like to use regular milk jugs for mixing my paint and whatnot in these projects. Rinse them out real good. Today I'm going to rework the bottom side of my Studebaker Avanti hood. I was pretty pleased with how the fender wells came out, and the engine bay area came out pretty good. I've done a lot of painting my whole life, but this is the first time I really dealt with the metallic. So, one thing I was not pleased is these two areas. Didn't come out. I can't live with that. So I'm probably going to resand them. I'm going to give it another practice a little more on that. As I stated before, it sat for, after I wet sanded it, sat for a month, and it still had water oozing out. Normally, I wouldn't repair this little bubble right here.
But I'm going to work on it a little bit because I'm going to wet sand these two areas. And as I say, if you absolutely flawless restoration on the vehicle, you can't drive it. You have to, you take it down the road, you'll dust it. So, but I like doing a fairly decent restoration and have some fun. And as I stated before, these fiberglass type vehicles, I have a 63 Corvette, big deal, roadster. I often get, too bad it's not a split window coupe. So anyhow, as I said before, if the bolts don't look like they want to come loose, don't mess with them. And you're better off either try to sandblast them or clean them up best you can and paint them first. Because as you know, you'll tear it out on the inside the way they're produced at the factory, where the threads are. Excuse me. So that's where I'm at this point. I'm going to wet sand these two areas, tape it off, and I'm going to leave the edges come out pretty good around everything else. Let's see, what else is there? I'm going to use this razor blade to kind of fix this little water bubble. I got to sand it anyhow. Normally I wouldn't do this. Boy, that works really nice. A nice sharp razor. There we go. Oh, dear. Getting into the primer. Alright. I'm going to live with that bubble if this area turned out a little bit better. Okay. Let's do some wet sanding. I'm going to sand this out with, start with 320. We'll get the water going here a little bit. And then I'll go to like 12 or 1500 to really make it nice and smooth and clean. And like the Corvettes, people think because they're a fiberglass body that nothing rusts. Fiberglass won't rust, but anything metal connected to fiberglass will rust and seize up and rot. So this vehicle was like Corvettes. The frame was all pretty good shape yet, not rotted. Okay, we got to get back to this car was a 63. It only came in white and gold. This one was a gold color, which I didn't particularly like. Actually, I could have just wet sanded it and cleared it, and if it was white, I would have did that. But I couldn't live with that gold color brown. So we wanted a later color, aqua color, which I think they believe came out in 64, Studebaker Avantis. And I think it's more purely correct. Not that you should have to always use your own taste and not have it, you don't have to have the original paint, but I happen to like this. I think this color is good for that time period. And whether sand and primer or just paint, you really only need to do like 320 sandpaper. I got it real close to this edge because we're only going to paint. We're going to take that off. 320 is fine, and then I usually use 1200 wet. We'll finish up with this 1200, just side down. That really makes it smooth and clean. Now I've watched some of these shows where these guys paint cars. I guess they got a gauge. You can tell how deep the paint is. Oh boy, I can really see the difference there. So look, and the other, normally I wouldn't put so much attention to painting the bottom of a hood, but I know within the next year or so, I'll have to wipe that with gassy rag. And, because you're going to have dirt and a little bit of oil because you're driving the car. You can still have a pretty decent looking vehicle, though it won't be a major show car. So that's why I like having the bottom side of the hood nice. And that if I want to comb my hair. So, not unless you are a millionaire. I think this is the best route. Getting ready to tape off I'm going to paint the inside headlight bucket area when I redo the bottom side of my hood. Something I noticed here from some real Avanti guys out there. See, it looks like a little drain plug When I dismantled the car, prepping for restoration, it had like a little felt plug in there. I did read a reference to that somewhere, but it seems like you should take those out because it looks like a natural drain for any condensation in there. Anyhow, I got this one taped off. I think I'm making a nicer job to do the. We're going to put the hood on, lid on the vehicle and spray the whole vehicle. Running out of newspaper. Let's see what sales are on today.
I've just about got the bottom side of the hood re-prepped to paint again. I hope I'm more successful this time. And I'm going to have my nephew do the final paint on the car. He's a little better at doing the metallic. I'm starting to run out of paper again. There's too much time and money invested here to take a chance on whether I can. I hate to have anybody do my painting for me. I like to say I did it all myself. I'll have him spray the surface of the vehicle with the metallic, and then I'll follow up and do the 2 or 3 coats of clear.
Well, I ran out of paper. Sent my son out the mailbox and get the local penny saver, use that up. But just so happened that last night, I worked 2 days a week at Strong Hospital.
They discarded this last night. It's a roll of posters I think they use for seminars in regards to craniotomies. Let's take a look here. I already looked at it once. Yeah, it's really springy. Yeah, where is it here? Shows a picture of a skull or something. Well, you can't see it too well. I like using this for templates sometimes for when you're making patterns. There's the craniotomy. And what else was there? People ask me what I do at the hospital. I was like, oh, I used to be a brain surgeon, but now I'm just it was too stressful. Now I'm just a janitor. Mm-hmm. And though years ago, 40 years ago, I was a surgical tech. Back when they just trained you on a job, learned a few instruments. And now it's like a 2-year degree. And I don't know if I really like this material, though, for trying to tape the car off.
Not that I'm frugal, though I am the great-grandchild of Jack Benny. I just like to utilize things like this poster board stuff. It says 31-year-old female with whatever that word is, syndrome, who has a 2-year history of right, whatever that word is, gland swelling greater than the left. Anyhow, it's too stiff for this. We're going to use it for now. I do prefer regular old newspaper as far as taping off the vehicle. I should get big areas.
Usually I blow it off real good first. Then I broke down, bought some tack cloths. I used to use paper towels in the past. But we're going to live it up and get these fancy pants tack cloths. They are a little sticky to work with, but they do work quite well, actually. Now I'm going to blow it off first before I use the tack cloths.
Blow it off like that.
And I lied a little bit. Usually I use 320, then I said 1500, but I think you're better off sanding it with the 1000 grit in the future. Now there again, there's some discarded sheets from the hospital, nice and clean, but they have holes in them, and they throw them out. And actually, these are work pretty good, but they still leave a little bit of lint. So that's where the tack cloth is always good to really finish up with. But just think how many people were on these sheets at the hospital and been re-cleaned. Okay, now we're going to blow her off again.
Well, I did my second repaint on the inner part of the bottom of the hood. I'm not real happy with it. Just can't get that metallic down. Alright, but I might live with that for a while. Moving on to other things. I am pleased with how my headlight bucket area came out. I think I'll make a nicer job of it. And as I stated before, we're going to put the hood and trunk lid on. That way you make sure your paint is consistent. I'm started wet sanding the body. And I'm sure there's a lot of pretty boy high-end auto restorators that disapprove of my techniques. We're always on a tight budget here, trying to fix it. Look at it, wait for a couple of overhead doors. And we got, in the middle of winter, very poor insulation. My lighting's so-so.
Under the wheel wells, I use 320 sandpaper, and I really primed it real heavily because actually it had the fiberglass fibers you could see from the factory. But on the body, I do have some 600 I'm going to use up first. And underneath, again, it had undercoating. I have no idea why they put undercoating underneath the wheel wells. But I used torch, had some gloves on. I used a Bernzomatic torch to get the coating off. Then I washed it real good with gas underneath the wheel wells. This car was a pretty straight car. It was pretty good. The body was in pretty good condition. When you're wet sanding, sometimes you chamois it off too, kind of helps, and so you can see whether you're getting the scratches out. The other problem is finding a light that works. You gotta be. It's a good light, but you gotta be careful because sometimes I get a wet when I'm wet sanding, and gonna get a little tingle. So you gotta watch that a little bit. And what else here? I think I like to use is these lights I put on, but it didn't really work that well. I tried it out a little bit, and it really didn't give me very good lighting. These emblems, again, it'd take I could see inside. It looked like it was going to be problematic getting these emblems off. And so I taped them off real good, sanded around them real good, very careful. Oddly enough, I do have a parts Avanti down in the woods I picked up, which really is a good vehicle. It's not just a parts car. Unfortunately, the man was deceased before he finished it, and he did have a lot of the chrome done for it. And so I have these new pieces right here for to replace those. When we get it done, we'll finally get at it and put them with the re-chromed Studebaker insignia. Oh, the windows. Oh, I'm gonna start wet sanding one side from halfway in down, and then I'm gonna do the same on the other side, so everything rinses down nice and clean. And then, of course, there's a lot of overspray on the windows here. Another favorite tool of mine is the SOS pad or something equivalent, and you won't hurt the glass. I'm gonna start getting the chrome and the glass real clean with the SOS pad. What else here? I'm moving right along. We're dubbing a few of these videos because I wasn't aware of the background music and sounds. So it's kind of a little bit like an old Japanese Godzilla movie. It doesn't actually coincide with my lips. I religiously worked on this starting last winter, during the winter months, preparing it for starting to restore it. And fortunately, by the spring of last year, I had the primer on the car. So I get the primer on heavy. It's good to let it really set for a few months even to make sure that paint really shrinks good. Some guys start working out too soon, sanding too soon, and over a period of time, the paint will shrink and you'll see the scratches. As you'll see in some of the earlier photos I did, I didn't have my recording camera then. I'm pretty sure this car was a repaint from the factory, which I have read in its history. And why I say that, because it looks so professionally that I didn't see any scratches or swirls like you would at a auto body shop. And it looked like the lower like it'd been painted twice. And but just I have all of really good documentation on this car, and I'm sure it was not painted before. I guess that said, I really would have. I wonder if anybody's really interviewed somebody from the when they were painting and building these factories. Is there anybody out there yet that's still alive that could give a detailed account on what I'm trying to convey to you.
What sanded this half of the roof and this quarter panel and door and rocker. If there's any real Avanti restorators out there, I don't know if you can make this out. There's a little bit of irregularity when this body was put together right here. When I primed the car, I sanded all the gold paint off it and didn't go any farther than that. And then, I could see that when the body was constructed, there must have been a piece here or something that was part of the assembly. So I'm going to try to put a lot of primer on there. I'm going to sand it a little bit more. I might have to use a little bit more primer. What was I going to say? I have to look it up. I forgot. It was 100 and some odd pieces to this fiberglass body, and they did a pretty darn good job of gluing it together. And if I do a little research, these were assembled in Ohio. They had a hard time with it, so then Studebaker put their bodies together in-house, which put them way behind. They had a lot of orders for these cars. Let's see. This has been sitting out here in the shop from May till now. And the paint was good. I kept telling the kid, be careful out here with the skateboards. We have a lot of activity going in and out. Not bad. I found a little chip. There's a little chip there to sand out. Just from just being around out here. There's a little one down here too. That's it. But not too bad. Oh, the rocker, I did, boy, way down here, I did have to use, I used 320 sandpaper for way down below because I had quite a bit of black overspray for my painting. Because then when I harassed the kid about things I think that he did wrong or misplaced around here, he enjoys when I find out that was actually me. Okay. Let's see what Briggsy's been up to here. My son, Jacob, he was contracted to paint this snowboard for his buddy. What did we do to change the lens like this? There it is. He's a pretty good artist. And the guy wanted that pizza with the eyeball, for whatever that means. My son did the caricatures. And that brick, I guess you might call it. I guess the guy wanted that graffiti from some LA gang. And what else was there? I tried to get him a video of him working on it, but he's kind of shy. He's a little bit quieter and more of a laid back like his grandfather. And I'm more like his grandmother, mouthy, outgoing. Oh, he had to show what my son's been working on here. Pretty nice, I'd say. I like the way he did this. Pretty darn. He's kind of talented. Let's check the detail out on the skull, though. Pretty good. As I tell everybody, he's my son. Though I never had a DNA test. I tell his mother, looks more like the cat's bus driver she rode with. Something I discovered while I was sanding and prepping and painting these doors is I did recall reading where, as I mentioned before, they had a difficult time adjusting these Avanti doors. And they are pretty long. One thing I discovered, like if they're out here on the end and I pick up on it, not bad, pretty tight. As I bring the door in, oops, see, that rocks a little bit more. I hope you can see this. The more I get it in, see, a lot of flex there. So I think they're designed inside the door, nothing's broke loose. See that? How she moves around? That's quite a bit. I got this door just all the way, listen. Just, it drags a little bit if you pick up on it. That's nice. The other side's good, but this side just a little bit. As I say, I'm trying to adjust these. Really want to dare try to loosen up those bolts and take the door panel up. I don't know if there's any adjustments inside the door or not. But I'm okay with living with that pretty much for now.
In closing, see you next time.